Okay, I want to introduce everybody. This is the Trevor Kruder podcast of podcasts, and I have two very special guests today. Kaveh, who is a friend first, but he's also my attorney, and he is the specialist across the country for everything that is
Peptides.
Peptide industry. I mean, when it comes to, he writes the book for the American Peptide Association. You know, he's working with Lee's out of Arizona. He's the guy that defended all the big 503B Strive guys. They work together on a lot of projects. And then I got Mike Farber, the guest of honor, all the way from across the water. He's the creator of the products that I talk a lot about, the Klotho that we do, the FLGR242, the new lepto that we've been talking about on a few podcasts that's coming to market. I did my first injection 2 days ago. Really just, I wanted to bring him in because I want people to actually know who you are. I know you've done a lot with Jay.
Yep, podcasts.
People associate me and Jay together, and a lot of people don't also understand that Jay Campbell and I are partners and good friends, and we're into this. And this is the guy that we always talk about, the genius behind the products. So
thank you.
Thanks for coming and actually sitting with me for
pleasure.
A little bit.
My pleasure.
Tell a little bit about you. I know you've probably done it a million times. You can give the highlights. You can give the whole thing, whatever you want.
My background is basically biochemical research. I've sold a couple of my patents into public companies, made a bit of money. And then a couple of years ago, I decided to really start work on things that I thought would affect my own health. So the first thing that I was trying to do was create a Klotho that I could inject safely that would affect my kidney function, since I lost my kidney when I was quite young.
That almost killed you, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was in a coma for 3 months when I was a teenager. I was told I wouldn't live past 30.
He's 31.
Yeah.
Looks good for his age.
So I'd say in my late 60s, early 70s, I started realizing that the kidney was starting to exhibit signs of decreased function. So my blood pressure was constantly going up. At the point where I invented Klotho, my blood pressure was like 159/90. So
is that bad?
Yeah, it was.
That's what
bad.
mine is all
Basically,
the time.
It'll kill. It's bad for your brain. You can have stroke. The other thing is that high blood pressure then has the loop effect, a closed loop. So the high blood pressure then feeds back and kills your kidney function. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing is a closed loop that eventually kills you very quickly. Like when you're at that point and you have like stage 2, stage 3 kidney dysfunction, very quickly that you get to stage 4, and then your life is basically over.
The snowball, it gets big quick.
Exactly. It's systemic, right?
So the whole idea was to try and find a solution for myself first. I wasn't thinking about other people.
You selfish son.
Well,
no, but I mean, that's where inspiration. I mean, we talk about it all the time. How did I get into the peptide industry? Tore my bicep off the bone. I was looking for a way not to lose half of my freaking bicep.
Right.
And I found that,
Exactly. So the whole idea was, then I realized that all of these proteins, these peptides, most of them are very short-lived. Most people don't realize that you're continuously putting out these proteins. Like Klotho, your kidney is continuously processing like pro-Klotho into Klotho. It's cleaving it, it's circulating in the body, but it has a very short half-life as a natural protein. Mm-hmm. So I went out and specifically went through all of the literature back 20 years looking at ways of extending half-life of proteins. Albumin-binding was really the thing that appealed to me because I thought I could engineer it. I went to a couple of companies in the world that had already done work on albumin binders. One company from France wanted $10 million for me to just engineer one protein. So I said, okay, let me take a look, go back through the literature and see if I can design something myself.
Yeah, make something yourself new.
Exactly. So I went back, I looked at the Genentech patents that they'd abandoned because they weren't working that well. And I started redesigning what they had done, reimagining it. And it just so happened that I ended up with an albumin binder that's probably one of the best currently in the world. We can go for almost 19 days in a human with almost all the proteins that we now make that have the albumin binder as part of it.
Tell people what albumin is, because I think a lot of people may go, I've heard of it. It's on a lot of your when you get your blood work done, in that long list of crap that you go, I don't know what any of this is, but it's in the norm. It's fine. Albumin is almost always in there. So what is albumin?
Albumin is the most abundant protein that your body produces. And why is it so abundant is because it does a large number of function of transporting cholesterol, testosterone, minerals, a large number of fatty acids, all sorts of things, nutrients, vitamins, all sorts of things have spaces on albumin that they lock into and they get transported around your body and released into cells.
This is how your body moves the good things.
Exactly.
And it can move the bad things.
Yeah, it can.
It can. So that's something to always be aware of. And we talk about that in a lot of science about, sometimes keeping things in the blood too long is not always good because you can burn out receptors or you can cause other problems. But
cycle on and off.
Yeah, that's like. But in a lot of cases, albumin is the main source for the body to move things around.
To move things around.
Yeah,
and it's evolved over time to be able to lock with so many of these nutrients, so many things. So a lot of the drugs that currently are being given to peptides that are being given to people like from the large pharmaceutical companies are designed around albumin binding. But most of these drugs only last about 4 to 7 days as their half-life.
Why is that?
Because they're using what is a C16 to a C20 fatty acid. So the amount of binding that occurs allows them to be recycled a certain amount of times, and then it disassociates, and then it's degraded by the enzyme, and then it's expelled by the body.
And you get rid of it.
Right. So if you look at the major drugs like tirzepatide, semaglutide, any of the peptides that are being done for obesity or a lot of the other things, most of them are being dosed once a week.
Correct, but they don't even have a real week. And I talk about this all the time. So the first one that we really saw was liraglutide, and that was a daily version of semaglutide.
Right.
So it was like, hey, you don't want to have as bad diabetes, type 2 diabetes issues, weight issues. Liraglutide was the very first. That's 20 plus years old.
Yeah.
And you were doing that daily. But people were getting sick and tired of poking themselves every day. I do so many injections. I can't even imagine that being a problem. But then semaglutide came out, which was Ozempic. And that was the one that really launched because people were like, wait a second, I can do once a week. But it really only was 5 to 6 days.
Right.
Yeah, 4 to 5 days at most.
Yeah. And then tirzepatide was like, okay, great. Now I'm not puking all week.
Side effects go down.
Yeah. But it's still not all the way there. And same thing with Retta that's going to come out. I tell people all the time, yeah, they're going to say once a week, but it's really a twice a week product.
Yeah, because basically they're using the same manner of binding albumin. They're all using the fatty acids. So you only have a certain amount of deviation from that 4 to 6 day half-life. In most cases, it's more 4 than it is 6.
Yeah.
You're right.
And if you want to have that even feeling where you don't have the up and the down, and then you start being like, oh my God, I'm binge eating like crazy over the weekend. Because I think a lot of people do it on Monday, which is not the worst thing in the world. Don't eat yourself to death Monday through Friday and then have a nice weekend or whatever. But for me, I don't even want to have the I don't eat at all phase. I want to be able to eat and then
eat healthy,
eat healthier. Yeah. I was telling you how much I eat. I eat 8 to 10,000 calories right now a day, but I also weigh 245 pounds solid muscle right now.
You were also sponsored by Yogurtland at one point in your life, right? Yeah.
And you're also exercising. You eat the right things most of the time.
But yeah, no, I do. I do think about what I eat, and I go, is today the day to put a large peanut butter, cup blizzard in your stomach? And I go, you know what? It's time for a blow up tomorrow morning. With
that workout, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, really, it just comes right through me.
Something that popped into my mind was whether it's a fatty acid or that binded to the albumin, does the albumin keep like a steady wavelength as your body digests it?
Yeah, how long is your albumin binder?
Our albumin binder lasts depending on the molecule we're binding through our albumin binder, from 14 to 19 days. Things like FLGR.
So it's a true once a week shot.
Things like FLGR242 will last 19 days because of the stability of the molecule itself. Things like Klotho, which are almost 1,000 amino acids,
huge,
large, and don't have a lot of those disulfide bonds, are more susceptible to being broken apart. The nice thing, though, about Klotho is that Klotho that we make has the 2 domains, the KL1 to KO2. Even when it breaks apart, it still has a pharmaceutical effect. There's still physiological effect coming from those 2 domains.
Even when they break.
Even when they break apart.
That's actually, I didn't even know that. Thank you for teaching me that today. That's always good news. And we talk about this, like when you talk about like NAD. For instance, NAD plus is what we strive for, but then there is NADH. And people go, oh, NADH is bad. No, NADH is the energy piece. So when it does break down from NAD plus, that's when and get into the NADH, you do get a secondary charge from that product into getting energy. So, but what was the problem with Klotho for a long time, because I was researching Klotho 4 years before I met you, Mike, because I was looking for a way to help people with Alzheimer's disease.
Right.
And you're using it for kidney, which those are the two places it's made, brain and kidneys. The big thing for it is that it was so hard to keep together. And the versions that were being made, the 1070, 1067, the 1018 molecules, they were breaking apart almost every time. So the cost to manufacture, if you could, it basically would take a month to make a few grams, right? And then you'd lose most of that in breakage, and then you'd pay, $25 million a gram. So it was just, there's no,
some of the competitors that say they have Klotho, they're charging $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Correct.
Where our price on the market is much
$400,
lower.
$500 a month.
Exactly.
A tenth
So
of it, yeah.
it's reasonable.
And ours is stable.
Very stable.
Which we're doing true human studies right now. We have an IRB going. It's already started.
We had the call today, actually.
Yeah, we had another call. I paid the money over a month ago. So I spent the money on it. So I know I've done my part.
One of the easiest ways for people, and I think we've all experienced this because we've all used Klotho, one of the easiest ways for people to see it's working is when you inject it, within a day, you pee like a horse. You just and for somebody like me who for years found it so hard to get to the level where I was excreting what I was taking in, it's like a godsend. You feel totally different. You feel like
I'm at the end of my 2 weeks right now, and I've seen
that slight decline.
I'm not peeing as much because when I first take it, I'm peeing twice a night.
Yeah,
for the first 3 or 4 nights.
The first time I ever did it,
doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah, the first time I ever did it, I did a whole bottle, which I shouldn't have done. And I remember I was using the bathroom so much, I took a methylene blue.
Oh, yeah.
And by the end of the day, my pee was clear.
Wow, you got it all out, which
is unheard of.
Well, the thing about for me is...
but it didn't stop. Like, I kept waking up and having to go to the bathroom because it was just everything is coming out.
Okay, so a lot of people... I had a cherry Coke. Sorry, everybody. I do have those. He carries them here, and they're 8 ounces, so I have one a month. But the thing I think I love about Klotho, you pee a lot, you crave water a lot. You don't crave soda. You crave things like iced tea, water, because you're actually peeing out and getting rid of that things you need the replenishment. Your body's literally craving the water. Whereas during the day, if you're just sitting there like a camel soaking up, you're drinking slutty soda and Diet Cokes because they taste good, not because you're mentally craving, not your body's craving.
Right.
So by activating Klotho and actually urinating and getting rid of that waste, your body is craving water itself. I look at an ice water and I'm like, it's like a piece of cake. Yeah. So for people that don't drink enough water, it's a really good way to trick yourself into getting into a habit.
But what Kaveh was saying, this thing about at a certain point, like during the night, I will have the same effect. I'll go to the bathroom and my urine is almost completely clear. Mm-hmm. So for somebody has one kidney,
that's impressive.
It's unbelievable. And my GFR is now, I think, at 82,
which is unheard of for most people in general with 2 kidneys.
Yeah, because isn't this,
especially at my age? Normally, a 75-year-old does not have that type of kidney.
This is the first product on the market known right now that can actually reverse the damage to the kidneys.
We have people that are using it that are actually reversing the decline in EGFR. There's no other drug on the market. Everything basically slows the progression of the loss of EGFR. We have reversed it for people who
I've reversed.
Yeah.
Already in stage 3B. So these people were already down to like below 40 and are now reversing EGFR and up to almost 70. We hope by the time the next readings are done, they'll be above 70, maybe 75. And which means they're almost back to a level where they're not considered to have kidney disease.
And the only change in this entire situation is the fact that they're on Klotho.
Yes, exactly.
Lifestyle, everything else.
They've not changed anything else.
Yeah. Well, here, I wanted to tell you this, and I've been holding on to this and almost revealed it a million times, but I wanted to chat with you about something I think Klotho does besides fixed kidneys. I think it's the key to Alzheimer's, or a big key to.
I know where
Sorry.
you're going with this, so let me set this up.
Okay, you set it up.
Because one thing that, with all this future,
no one knows
research,
this anywhere yet.
No one.
This is. I'm going to talk about this first time.
Trevor made everyone, take it to the grave. But based off of your experience with this protein, other than
Those
longevity, the brain, the kidneys, what are your personal thoughts on its ability on fertility?
That's a really good question. We haven't ever, and I've never read anything really in terms of fertility. If you look at what Klotho does, which means that it improves endothelial function, so it'll improve like your how can I say, your sexual function, because you're going to be able to maintain an erection better. But in terms of spermatogenesis, Klotho affects stem cells. It'll affect mitochondrial activity. So it could, because of its effect on mitochondrial activity, affect spermatogenesis, and therefore might increase your sperm count. That's conjecture on my part.
Well, guess what? We're going to have to look into this, because when I was 26, I was told I was never going to have children. I am 44. I turned 45 in 3 months, and I have a child on the way now.
Congratulations.
It's a huge congratulations.
Oh my God.
But I am on so much testosterone and everything else. I should have even less chance at 44. I should be minus. I should be like literally killing children.
You should be able to go as much as you want. And say,
well, I have been for years. I haven't used it.
And the only real change has been,
the only thing that I could think of that I have taken for the since October of last year is when I started taking Klotho when we were filming for Peptide Society. I started taking that the end of October, November.
And you were on it. You didn't get off of it.
And I haven't gotten off it. I've been using it.
I use Klotho every week.
And it was the other Mike.
We're 12 weeks
that we were talking to. And Trevor, we were all it was a late night
drinking,
trying to figure it out.
Oh, I'm so happy for you, man.
Thank you. But I want us to maybe look a little bit more into this.
I will look into the research, but that's something that we should investigate. Definitely.
We should.
That's a huge application.
And it's funny because, we're talking to this other scientist by the name of Mike, and we're going through, okay, have you taken this? Were you taking this? Were you taking this? Were you taking this? And Trevor's like, I'm also on Klotho.
No. He didn't even come out that way. I told him, I go, dude, Mike, I'm gonna have a kid. And he's like, no, you're not. I go, no, I swear. He goes, there's no way you can have a kid. Look at you. Because he knows, like my body type, he goes, there's no way. I know you're on testosterone and whatever else. There is no way you can have kids because you couldn't have kids. He knows my mom very well. He helped with saving her from cancer, all this stuff. The family is very aware. All my family, everyone has been, nope, Trevor's never going to have kids.
So they must have been surprised, to say the least.
Surprised. Everybody fell out of their fucking chair. People's jaws were on the floor. But Mike's sitting there. He's looking at me. He goes, have you messed around with Klotho at all? And I go, why? He goes, I really think he could rebuild those pathways for spermagenesis, like what you kind of just were indicating. I go, I've been on it since October. He goes, that's it.
Yeah.
He looked at me, he goes, dead serious. That's it.
That's amazing. I see. That's something that because I'm more concentrating on the things that in terms
the kidney, the longevity.
Exactly.
Well, I think Klotho might be the greatest longevity product we see in generation.
If it's reversing, your inability to procreate, it's definitely having an effect on longevity, because that's one of the things that an organism really does at the height of its.
But this is
correct.
Trevor Kruder on X amount of testosterone and every other hormone. Imagine some just average Joe who's dealing with this problem when they're for example, for like IVF therapy.
That's what I was going to say. If it has that effect on you, what would it have to do
on a normal person?
Not only that, but the women who are getting slightly older, and now their ovulation cycle. Now you would basically reinforce having a better egg, better ova.
If it's healthy for sperm, it's healthy for eggs.
Has to be.
Yeah,
it has to have that.
It's good for both sides.
Effect. That could be really amazing.
I know we were focusing on one, but I'm telling you right now, I can't say there's anything else that I could lend to this happening other than possibly that.
Well, whatever happened, I'm super happy for you. That's
thanks, buddy.
Incredible news.
Yeah. So this is the first podcast that I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
So whenever this gets aired, everybody will know. So I got to let everybody.
Let me know when you know if it's a boy or a girl.
We're not going to know until we let it come out.
Okay.
So unless someone drops the ball on this thing, Peter, he knew our medical director. He's been helping us out with it because she didn't have she wasn't planning on trying to find a doctor for a child anytime soon, and so she's like, what do I do? I'm like, Peter, can you get us in to see somebody, because this isn't supposed to happen. He's like, you're not supposed to have kids. I'm like, no, I'm not supposed to have kids. It's a blessing because it's just crazy how like the timing of life. I literally buy a house in Thailand. It's being built. I'm soon to be your neighbor.
Awesome.
And
to that.
I'm like, when am I going to really be able to be there as much as I want to, which we will, because who cares? We can bring kids.
Listen, they're great schools there for kids. Great.
It's super safe where we are too. People are nice.
Incredibly safe. Trust me.
Yes. No, that's why I bought. I'm buying, you're in mainland area.
I'm in just the outskirts of Bangkok. I'm about 15, 20 minutes from Suvarnabhumi Airport, another 25 from Don Muai.
I know exactly where
that's your new place, right?
Yeah,
the new place you're building.
So I just bought
places in the sticks.
yeah. You're like up at Chiang Mai. I'm on the hill, the cliffs of Patong in
I know
Phuket.
where that is.
So if you go to Patong and you go right up the hillside past Patong, there's the really nice set of hotels. I'm up above all of them, overlooking the ocean.
The views are incredible there. The beaches are incredible.
The beaches are incredible. I'm a big scuba diver, so I want to be that way. I'm like, cool, I can always stay in Bangkok because you got to fly through there.
Right.
But the other thing was
it's an hour away.
Yeah, it's nothing. And when I was buying it, they were talking about doing an LAX direct to Phuket. So it's like,
really?
Yeah. So they're expanding the airport right now, so they can fit those jumbo 777s and everything in. So I'm like, this is great. I was buying it for two reasons. It's a really cool place that I always wanted to be able to go to when I retire or whatever. But it's also, I think,
the
an
White
investment.
Lotus.
It's White Lotus property. That's where I am. The White Lotus property. There's only 10 homes. But I bought it. It's already gone up $400,000.
Yeah, there's tremendous demand now in Thailand.
Yeah,
even
so I've made money.
Has almost doubled, and we haven't even moved in yet.
That's what I'm saying. Mine is being built. They haven't even laid the full foundation. I have the pilings in, and they're laying the cement right now. It's gone up $400,000.
How far are you away from the Patong? You have 2 or 3, I think, gyms in the area.
There's
2, but they're small.
They're garbage. So I was going to build the gym there. I actually talked to a guy that got put on hold when I found out I was having a kid. So I already had talked to, I was going to put a 8,000 square foot gym. I was basically going to clone the one that we're building here there. And the developer is a scientist, and he was holding this property to do a wellness center. And I randomly found this. I was walking around town looking for a spot because there's no property in Patong that's not already been purchased. There's no open land. So you got to find it. So I found this dirt lot that cars were parked in right outside the main area. And I'm like, this is exactly where it needs to be. I can see the ocean from the side street, but can
you walk to it from your house?
It'd be a decent walk, but you
can drive.
You can bicycle down.
Yeah. You could bicycle down, or I can get on a scooter. I could be there in 3 minutes.
Got it.
It's super close. So, I'm like, this is actually perfect because I can build it up. There's nothing tall in front of it. So on the 3rd floor, I could do the longevity so that people could look over the ocean while they're getting their IVs or stem cell therapies, things like that. And I could put the gym on the base of the building. And I called the guy. He's like, I was looking to do a concept. Let's do the deal. He wanted $40 million. And I'm like, you're high. He goes, okay, $10 million. I'm like, how do you go from $40 to $10 million? I told him, I'm not giving you
US dollars.
US dollars.
Yeah.
I go, I'm not giving you any of that. I go, how about we become partners? I'll do the build out. I'll do all this. I'll bring the science of it, all this stuff. I'll pay you a portion of rent. And we have a deal built in that way. And if I sell or we decide to expand, we can do there because his family owns all this. He goes, so I'm up for that.
This is gonna be the gym, longevity, spa, all in one.
All in one. It'd be 3 stories high.
So you'll put in high hyperbaric chamber.
Everything would go there.
JW has a JW, the gym equipment, fairly high end. Mm-hmm. They manufacture out of China, so you can bring everything in from China.
Right there.
Yeah, there's top line. What is it? Next Gen 2 out of Korea's really high end, or New Tech. New Tech's really good.
Yeah. So you can bring in stuff from the area that's
and I won't have to pay a fortune in the shipping.
Exactly.
Is the and you probably know this more than anyone, being out in Thailand so much. It's a completely different approach to longevity therapy, wellness therapy, anything. They're totally open to it compared to the restrictions here, right?
They're very far advanced in terms of stem cell therapies, things like that. Even hyperbaric chambers are extremely popular now in therapy clinics in Thailand. Very popular.
Yeah.
And are they
So-
primarily tourists that are using, or the native population as well?
A lot of tourism.
Yeah.
And a
It's
lot of
based around the
a
wellness.
lot of tourism is wellness tourism.
Wow.
That's
what they're
where-
really going after right now.
right. Exactly.
It's well, most of their money, they don't have a whole lot of natural resources.
Yeah.
Right. And if they were to exploit the ocean, then they wouldn't have that as a tourist attraction. So they're kind of caught in a pickle for that. So what they're doing is they're really building like a culture of longevity and lifestyle for Europeans.
But the Thai doctors themselves are actually some of the best in the world, right?
Yes, they are.
for those, yes.
So
Yeah.
this is interesting because I told you I've ordered a hyperbaric chamber.
Yep.
What
For
we're
real.
trying to do
Well, less
is
than
we're
motivated.
trying to test people to see if the combination of Klotho and hyperbaric chamber is synergistic, because Klotho has an effect on longevity.
Yeah.
So does hyperbaric
Yeah.
oxygen. So
What atmosphere are you looking at this? Because
you have to do 2 atmospheres. That's the sweet.
okay,
If
because
you go above 2, you're super saturating. You're going to get some oxygen problems with the toxicity of.
I was
levels
2
of
is 60 feet down below water.
Right.
If you don't,
So
know.
you're basically, that's the sweet spot. You go in, I think, for 20, 25 minutes at a time. You take a 10-minute break, go back
Mhm.
for 20, 25 minutes. You do that, I think, 3 or 4 days a week for about 2-3 months till your body is basically being optimized. And then you do it over a slightly longer period of sessions.
Is there an acclimation period, or can you just start right away?
You start, but you have to be, some people will react like differently than others because of the change. Like when you have people scuba diving,
Yeah.
some people don't react very well to that.
Some people
change
can't
in
clear
temperature.
their ears.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Some people don't like the feeling. Some people actually make you very tired while you're in there.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly breathing, exhaling, breathing, exhaling.
Well,
right?
it's you're under like a higher atmosphere, 2 atmospheres, right?
Right.
So it's like being 66. When you go scuba diving, people don't realize this. If you go scuba diving, you aren't doing shit. You are just literally just barely drifting. You're burning the same calories as you're like sprinting a mile. You will come up and you're burning after an hour of diving 500, 600, 800 calories.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I
the
didn't
caloric
realize
Because of
it
the
was that
pressure
much.
the
and everything.
pressure. You're doing the same thing in the body. Your body, now, once you get used to it, doesn't do the same thing if you're doing it all the time.
Right.
But it is. Your body is, and you are still going to burn calories because there is a change to the body is reacting to it. The brain can burn calories. People thought, no, that doesn't exist. But then they looked at those studies on the chess players way back in the day, and this is where tesofensine really came into effect, that these chess players, like the smartest ones out there, were extremely skinny, like in shape. Not like skinny
Yeah.
frail because they don't eat, like skinny in shape
They were lean.
because their brain power was burning 2,000 to 4,000 calories a day. They're
Wow.
thinking so hard. So the same thing, your body is under extreme, it's thinking.
Stress.
It's stress, not in a bad way, but that's what also helps with like fighting cancer. Doesn't allow fungus and different viruses to grow or expand or live. Parasites will die off
Right.
at that level.
Under that pressure.
And the pressure, and then you
Yeah.
go up to 3 or 4 and it does more, but you have the risk of other problems or
Right.
you have to
That
decompress. when
toxicity
coming-
of the oxygen in your blood and stuff.
yeah,
like
so
that.
you have to you don't want the
decompress,
bends.
and you have to decompress very slowly.
Correct.
Yeah.
The deep, like as
You'd have to be
go,
in there
the
for
deeper
like
you go,
3 hours, 4 hours.
the longer time you have to.
So you can't just
sit.
walk in, turn it up.
You
all
can't
the
go
way
to
and
4
walk
and then
out.
come out. No, because it's
No,
the same thing as going down.
Yeah, and then swimming up really
swimming up
fast.
and getting
Okay,
the
that
bends.
totally makes sense.
Yeah, but yes, no, it's really cool. Okay, so good. We bought a 2 atmosphere with the oxygen.
Right,
mask,
exactly.
And it has red
Saturation.
light in it too, so
Right.
you get a little red light there.
Is it the one with the
But
IV
if you-
line? Can you bring the IV in?
You can put an IV line in
But
there.
if you look, I don't know if you guys follow a guy named Brian Johnson.
Yeah, of course.
So the only treatment that he's ever taken, and this guy is tested
Mhm.
and documented, does like tons of treatments. The only one he's ever endorsed as really having an effect on longevity was the hyperbaric chamber. Everything else that he's ever tried has basically come up as like just fizzled.
Yeah.
Just was like within the range of statistical insignificance. But the hyperbaric chamber
was the
had
only
a
one that yielded the results.
significant effect on telomere length, all sorts of things. So I think that combining it with Klotho, we could basically have a breakthrough if it synergizes the way I hope it will.
That'd be
And
amazing.
then all these people going to these wellness clinics, you would, even if you're not taking Klotho like we do, which is basically all the time because we
But
believe in it, its
you
effects.
come in, you get an IV, you get a push of your Klotho, you sit in your hyperbaric chamber, then
Right.
you lay in the red light bed afterwards for 30 minutes.
Yeah. And I think it will have a much greater effect in even that short time than the hyperbaric chamber by itself.
Yeah.
So all these people out there thinking about wellness and doing the hyperbaric chamber, I think it's something to consider that Klotho could supercharge the effect from the hyperbaric chamber.
One thing that many people mix up or just simply don't understand, and we've used this word a lot, is protein. And you said Klotho was a 100+ amino acids.
1,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
But your average peptide are short chain, less than 40.
Yeah.
So
the peptides that are being pushed,
like
the
market, the BPCs, the TBs,
they're all very short.
So what's the difference between a quote unquote peptide and a protein?
So the definition of a peptide is to about 25 amino acids. Then you go to polypeptides, which are longer, to about 100 amino acids. Then you go to proteins. The very big difference is not in the length. The difference is in the three-dimensional structures that these larger amino acid chains form, because it's that three-dimensional structure that really has the effect in terms of binding to the receptor, or in the case of Klotho, you're interacting with like FGF23, which then forms this complex, which then has the effect on kidney function. So it's very important that when you're making these larger proteins, that you realize that you need to have a three-dimensional structure, and that this three-dimensional structure is what governs how effective like the Klotho can be in terms of effect on kidney. So a lot of people that put out these structures they just look at the amino acids and say, okay, we're putting together like 1,000 amino acids.
Pull that a little closer.
And we know it's going to work, but
excited.
in that case, it might not work because they're not looking at the three-dimensional structure. So you have to look at all of these things. If you're looking at a small peptide, like let's say TB500, you have very little, like three-dimensional structure. You might have a very small helix at one end, but most of it is just a straight chain of amino acids. But when you get to a protein, you have to be very sure of the structure that you're doing. And a part of that is also you're adding on sugars. In the body, most large proteins don't exist as just proteins. They're glycosylated structures. So they have sugars added on it at certain points, so they maintain stability and solubility. So this, again, is part of why certain large proteins get, I would say, manufactured or get fermented in natural, in our case, we do it in Chinese hamster ovary cells, which we've modified and made it the ability to produce what we want to produce in a way that does everything we want with both the protein and the albumin binder. Our albumin binder is very specific. It has a couple of disulfide bonds that are closed after we form it, so that closure gives us the stability that we need and the length that we need, that we govern, which makes it so effective.
So from a manufacturing standpoint, is it safe to say that a TB500 is much easier to make than Klotho?
So if I would compare it, making a TB,
like Legos to building a superstructure.
Yeah, right.
So if you would look at your car, it would be like, let's say, putting a sticker on the car instead of putting the whole car together. It's like the small chains of amino acids, 10, 12, even the ones like semaglutide, the majority of them are synthesized. The ones that are natural, like in the case I misspoke a bit, semaglutide, I think 29 of the amino acids are produced in E. coli because it's very cheap. There's no three-dimensional structure that's coming out. It's just that chain of 29 amino acids. And then they use synthetic to add the AIB and the stuff that's non-natural that they have. But you look at a Retta, or you look at things like that, 42 amino acids, it's all synthesized. It's all done on columns. There's, it's complicated, but it's not like putting together 1,000 amino acids, which then have a three-dimensional structure, which then folds as it comes out of the cell. And you have to look not
Has to
only
fold
at the
correctly.
amino acids, but how it's folded, what it's binding. So in our case, we test binding.
Yeah.
So let's say we're producing Klotho. We know that we have all the right amino acids when you look at LCMS, but then you still have to test binding to, let's say, FGF23 to know that you have the right structure. So when you have a protein, you have to do more extensive testing to validate that you have not only all the amino acids, but that you have the three-dimensional structure.
You can trick it. So basically, those people, people are like, oh, well, the test came out, it's 99.9% pure, and it says it's this. That just means you have the amino sequence correct.
Right. Yeah.
That doesn't mean it always is going to work. And the only reason I know this, and it's a hard conversation, but because most of these people are just buying stuff from China, and there's 70% of the stuff that comes from China is just fine. It really is. The 30% is not. But when we were first making retatrutide 4 years ago, we couldn't get it to work, but it would come up on a mass spec as retatrutide.
Yeah, it looks perfect.
Looks perfect in any way, but it was not binding. It wouldn't bind once you injected it, so you would get no effect from it. And on like the 49th time, we finally figured out how to get it to bind to inside the human body. And then it worked. And then you had no hunger. And then all of us were not eating for a week. But there's a lot more that goes into it. And you basically just gave everybody an advanced chemistry course.
I picked up on something that to me is, what I think is common knowledge in the manufacturing space, because you have peptides that are synthetically made, they're fermented, they're made with bacteria. I don't think most people actually understand that you can use the E. coli bacteria to make most of these peptides that everyone are injecting on a daily basis.
Right. You just insert the correct DNA. If it's a natural amino acid sequence, you insert that into your E. coli and you'll push out.
And it produces,
from the vat, you'll produce that sequence.
And now you have a giant amount of TB500 thanks to E. coli
and then
bacteria.
basically you have to purify it, you have to separate it, you have to do a lot of
endotoxin reports.
Right,
That's
exactly.
Why people don't test for it. We test for endotoxins.
Yeah, exactly.
We test for sterility.
So that's
things that are sterile. Those are the things you can miss that they're not testing.
Yeah. So
like I said, it's 70% of the peptides that are coming across are what they are saying, but that doesn't mean their endotoxins aren't through the roof. They're not carrying heavy metals. They're not carrying sterility issues. You see people and they have bad reactions. You got the BPC in you and it probably did help your knee that you were trying, but then you also have welts across your chest, or you had breathing issues,
and that's a response. That's a response to a peptide that hasn't been properly cleansed and purified.
Processed and purified.
And there were guys at, I think one of the wellness conventions somewhere, I think it's California, last year, who were giving out vials to use, and 4 or 5 of the people ended up in the hospital
because they weren't sterile.
Anaphylactic reactions.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful that you follow very specific procedures. The more complex the protein, the more testing you have to do, the more exact you have to be. As Trevor said, it's not just the sequence. Does it really bind? Is the reta binding to the receptors? And you can test that. You can do things that are called surface plasma resonance. You can test and see, does this really work under physiological conditions before you allow a batch to be released? And that all has to be done. But it's expensive. So a lot of people...
And that's why when you buy an American product, it costs more money, because we do all these tests.
Exactly.
And when people...
all the extra steps.
And when someone calls and goes, oh, I had an adverse reaction, they go, okay, here's all your tests. Because adverse reaction doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the product. The adverse reaction could have been done to anything.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons why people have adverse reactions.
Well, just from a legal standpoint, like the government, the hospitals, the pharmacy boards, whatever, 3-letter agencies, they know people get allergic reactions, right? It's like when you get stung by a bee, you're not going to sue the bee.
No.
Or sue the beehive that made the bee, or whatever it may be, right? But the adverse reaction that happens because of endotoxin poisoning,
and that's what
an issue with the batch.
Correct.
That's how these peptide companies are getting in trouble. And that's how many people are finding out that although they may carry themselves as a U.S. research peptide company, the product's coming from China.
Correct. That's
because it's not being properly tested.
They're not doing all the other bells and whistles.
And Trevor, you know this more than anyone. You can look at a price sheet immediately and realize that these are Chinese peptides, because
it's impossible to manufacture and do all the testing.
Because once you factor in the testing, the manufacturing,
sterilization,
the GMP,
the
back end from
the cost
sourcing
to insure your facility,
making sure you're paying your staff,
your rent, your insurance policies, your 401ks.
You factor all that in,
yes,
versus a spreadsheet that you see from these brands who are saying, "Oh, we're super competitive, we're domestic made." There's no
chance.
way.
It's impossible.
First of all, they're not domestic made. Second of all, what's the quality control? And people should be, for them, that should be the biggest concern is, do you want to really be injecting something where you have any small iota of a doubt? Listen, I make the stuff, every batch, everything that we make goes into my body.
Yeah,
same here.
You know, we give it to my
thing
fiance is on it. But before it ever goes out the door, we do animal, we do preclinical, we do animal, we do this, we do that. And then I get to try it for 3-4 months before I'd let anybody touch it.
You want to hear something crazy is we do a lot of stuff for a lot of people, right? And we have drug pharmacy, the whole deal. Like, if you're, going to Walgreens and you're getting your testosterone, it's probably coming from one of our pharmacies called Integrity. We have the contract with them nationally. So like we do a lot of things. This is the point. Every once in a while, we will work with somebody in a collaborated project, or we work with somebody that has a relationship. Hey, I want to use our pharmacy, or I want to use our manufacturer. I'm not going to name names because it's just not fair. But we went to the largest peptide producer in the United States besides us, and we did a collaboration project with them. 2 out of the 3 batches had to be completely trashed because they had sterility issues and underdosing. These are the guys that were labeled the best in the business before they went under. And that's all I'm going to say, if you can figure out who that was. But we did a collaboration event with them. 2 out of 3 batches, $450,000 of peptides were tossed in the fucking trash. This is why I'm proud of who our team is, because I've had these moments. And when Peptide Society, which, you're in with me, that will come out in fall. There's a point in that where I threw my phone and broke it.
I remember
because we lost $5 million in a week. The difference is that never leaves my building. These were shipped out.
Well, here's the thing.
And we figured it out and go, pull those back. Because no, you have issues. People don't test. And for all of you that are willing to go to the bar and buy a filet mignon or a shot of Clase Azul, and you go buy an $8 Starbucks every day, but you want a bottom of the barrel, the thing you're injecting in your body, you're a fucking idiot. Sorry, you can call me and personally yell at me if you want, but you're a fucking idiot.
I agree.
Spend $20 extra, buy from a real person here, and buy Tito's or buy a shot of fucking Don Julio regular instead of 42 if you're that cheap. But you're injecting these things in your body. Why are you I want the $4 peptide? You're right. 7 out of 10 times is fine. But when you hit number 9 and it's wrong and you're in the hospital.
And it's systemic. It's not like,
why? Why are you being that cheap?
Yeah, it's not the thing.
It's not that much of a difference.
It's not the thing that you should be economizing.
No, I don't get it. And it's not like you're going from $40 to $4,000. We're talking about, there are a lot of good producers. I can go through a whole list of people I trust, for real. There's a list about 12 really good guys out there. Loop is really good. They do all the right things. They test 13, 14 times. We produce with them. We do contract stuff with them on some of their products. I know that they're doing things right. You're talking about a difference of $40 to like $60.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, it's $20 more.
Yeah, honestly, in the scheme of things, if it's worth you being sick or not being sick and getting the effect that you're buying it for, it's worth the $20 extra.
Yeah.
Well, all the money you're saving up front is going to come back in a hospital bill.
Yeah. Times a million in the wrong direction.
There was 2 things that you both mentioned, and I just want to hammer in on this. So Trevor, you went into the fact that there was a batch, it cost you, millions of dollars, but you basically recalled everything.
I never left the building.
Yeah.
We dumped it would literally.
But for the peace of mind, you would rather take that hit than let anyone risk the chance of getting sick.
It's not even a conversation.
Yeah, right. It's not even reputationally, personally, you don't even,
it's
belief
ethical
process.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's moral.
It's moral.
You should not. If you're not,
it's the exact opposite of what we're doing in this business.
So try
helping people.
Exactly.
You're
and then
literally releasing.
But that tied into what you were doing is you said, I have animals, this study, that study, this study. And before I even let anyone take it, I do it on myself.
Exactly.
And just to get to that process, let's just say, for example, with Klotho, by the time you started to the point where you did the first injection on yourself, how much time and money were you into it?
Probably $1.5 million. That we maybe 2 million to design everything, make sure it was. Even then, other people, like the other researchers, were saying they wouldn't have done it. But we had enough data, animal data, and we had enough data to know that it was safe. But somebody has to, somebody has to take that
Someone's
first
gotta do
step.
it. Yeah.
Somebody has to do it.
Someone has to do it.
So instead of me letting other people doing it, or even like saying, okay, we're going to put it out into an IRB study, I don't believe in that. I don't believe it's moral. If I'm not willing to put it into myself, if I have even the smallest iota of a doubt, it will never get to market, because I don't believe it's morally correct to act that way. We're trying to help people the same way I'm trying to help myself. So I would never put out something that I thought and I mean, that's crazy, even has a risk, if it's done properly based on our protocols, of even having a fairly large risk of having adverse events. I don't agree with the pharmaceutical attitude of risk versus reward.
Yeah.
The people who are overweight, you don't want to lose weight, but risk having being sick.
Yeah, I have something
You don't
really
want to
interesting.
trade. You don't want to trade off. What you want to do is you want to design. You want to spend the extra year, the extra time to design a product that works safely. If you can't make a product that works safely, my attitude is I'm not going to put out the product.
Well, and my belief in you, because I believe you, and you also apparently got me pregnant. Not that me pregnant, but you're in $1.5 million. I'm in $300,092.45 into believing you into research studies so far, which is going to topple. That's going to get into 7 digits by the end of the year with you.
Yeah.
But I'm personally investing.
And that was an email invoice that he was holding up.
Yeah, that was my CFO going, are we going to make money? Because you got to sell a lot of bottles to make up.
You do.
Well, something that I could, I was preparing. So tomorrow's the day where you have to submit all of your comments for the PCAC, right?
Yeah.
And part of that, we did a massive data collection through multiple companies, manufacturers, everything. And if you look at all of the volume that was done on all of Mike's products, there wasn't a single adverse event reported.
Zero. Yeah. Other than getting my girlfriend pregnant. That's going to cost me a lot of money.
Yeah. Or like I was telling Mike, I just had a kid a few months ago, and yeah, I'm not sleeping the same. I'm not eating the same. It's stress, this, that, the other, but I'm taking, and I want to segue actually into this, the FLGR242. So I'm in a calorie deficit. I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping 4 hours a night. I'm losing weight, but maintaining muscle mass. So every time I do an in-body, I actually go down a few points on the body fat and go up on the muscles.
That's good.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Because nothing, diet, working out, everything's the same except my sleep has gone down, and I'm honestly in a calorie deficit because I just don't have.
So you're not in an improved physiological situation, but the FLGR242
is actually slowly trickling up.
Well, in your case, I met you in October, and you've gained probably 20 pounds of muscle since I've met you the first time.
Yeah,
maybe a little more. I'm jealous.
I
have to say I'm jealous.
I can pull up the pictures.
He's actually had to change his closet out twice.
Yeah, no joke. I wore large shirts when I met you. I've thrown all the way. I can't fit it.
Well, that's an adverse effect.
Yeah.
But I'm like almost at the point of going to 2Xs now, because my back is getting so fucking big.
Honestly, I think you look amazing, so solid, like incredible.
Well, thank you. It's your products do work, because I actually dropped a lot of stuff because I had been running like Primobolan for a long time. I dropped that out.
It's healthier that way.
Yeah, I mean, I like Primo for my immune system and everything else, and I enjoy that product. But I dropped it all, and I'm just continuing to
stay on
FLGR.
And we talked about Klotho. Klotho is the longevity, the brain, the kidneys, Trevor's sperm. Jeez. But what is FLGR242?
So FLGR242 is a very special follistatin that we designed by truncating human follistatin, taking out a few of the domains, they're called casal domains, that I thought weren't important and that bound to other proteins in the body,
And
like activins
and
or
in layman's terms,
bone.
what is a domain?
So what it does is it specifically binds only to myostatin. So it has an effect only on basically inhibiting myostatin's effect on muscle cells. What I believe why it's so effective is that it's a very small protein. It's about 180 amino acids long with the binder. So there are a lot of competitors out there, supposed competitors, like monoclonal antibodies. They're very large. We're about 20 kilodaltons. The monoclonal antibodies are about 150 to 200. And when you get down to the very smallest capillaries, if you think of something that's a big round blob trying to get down through a very, very narrow straw, it just can't get there. And where is myostatin secreted? It's secreted right at the surface of the muscle cell. So if you can't get right to that place when myostatin is being secreted, you're not going to have the type of interaction that really interferes with its effect on stopping muscle cell growth. So I believe we're more effective just because of this smaller structure that we were able to create that targets myostatin specifically. And the effects are visible. I mean, the first effects from what the thousands of users we have is that within about 2 weeks, people see a 10 to 15% increase in strength. They don't see the mass coming on as quickly, but the strength gains are noticeable within like a week or two. And then the mass starts coming on. So when I first met you, I think in October, I was maybe about 185 pounds. Today I'm around 210. So at 75, it's not bad.
I'd
like-
most
I'd
people
like to
don't
be-
realize how old you are.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm 75 in October.
Amazing.
Most people don't.
Yeah, we have almost the same birthday.
Most people don't give me 75 now.
Well, and look, I took him to the gym yesterday, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to work on legs." So we literally go to the leg curl machine,
Uh-huh.
and he starts at like 120 pounds as the warm up, and I'm like, "Okay, cool, yeah, let's do this." 30 reps, 40 reps, 50 reps, 60 reps. And he's like, "All right, you ready to go do leg press?" I was like, "Wait, hold up, I can barely walk up the stairs on the on the workout."
You got to do some more leg days there, buddy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
He has. Well, I mean, you put on 30 pounds.
I'm actually much more. So when I
40 pounds?
first met Trevor, I was 180.
Yes, dude. He's put on a shit ton of weight.
Yeah.
But he's done a few things. IGF-1 was a big one for you.
20
It worked
pounds, yeah.
really well. For me, IGF-1, because I've been running growth hormone for so many years, IGF-1 doesn't have as much of an effect on me.
Right. It doesn't have that real
It
boost.
doesn't have that boost because I'm already kind of.
Yeah, I was stuck at 200 pounds, and then I did 2 months of IGF, and I put on 20 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah,
10 pounds a month.
he
That's impressive.
instantaneously.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, there's always a cap, right? And you can't run IGF forever.
No.
It's a 4 to 6 week product, and I know there's
You go off for a while, you come back.
Yeah. You just
Same thing with GH. You can cycle in and out if you're using it properly to affect your, not just the IGF-1 levels, but the effect on skin and, the effect
But
on
you don't want to
hair.
burn out the receptors. But
I'm
the one
stuck.
thing,
I've been on it for.
but the one
12
thing
years
that
now.
the
Really?
stuff that you're making, the
Yeah.
FLGR, it's not burning out receptors.
No, I mean, I've gone up to 15 milligrams a week on FLGR242 without any side effect.
Really, I'm doing still 5.
Yeah, I'm at 5.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is the 15 didn't have any more of an effect than the 5, because at a certain point, you're basically binding all of the myostatin. There's nothing else that you can do.
It's
What I
you're just discreting it. It's like it's a waste.
Exactly.
All right, you don't
what
need
I
this.
wanted to do was prove a margin of safety where, some people out there, they might say, well, 5 is good. Maybe I'll try
Everybody
10.
does that in America.
Exactly.
What are you talking
You know, we're all the type of
It's the
people.
American way.
If
Yeah.
it's good, well, bigger
about?
is
600
better.
horsepower is good.
Exactly.
1,000
Yeah, 1,000
better.
horsepower.
But that's the whole. That's
You
the.
might spin out the car, but yeah,
Yeah, you crash the damn
amazing.
thing.
That's the. Just so everyone knows, that's the most idiotic thing to do on peptides. You don't just immediately double your dose. You titrate.
Yeah.
You slow.
Well, but I've everybody that's listens to me, I always say less is more.
Yeah.
And I always say take less things than more things. Understand what one thing does before you go to another.
Exactly.
And I'm in the belief that you should never be above 5 milligrams of tirzepatide. You should never be above 4 milligrams of retatrutide ever in your life. You can get the effect you need over the time it's required for the body to really do what it needs to do.
And without all the side effects.
Without any side effects,
Yeah.
and you can run it a long time. Don't listen to the bullshit. I have so many people that are calling me. They're like, yeah, I'm on 15 milligrams of tirzepatide. I've been on for 3 months. I'm not losing any weight. You've been doing tirzepatide for 3 fucking whole months, and you're already at 15 milligrams. And you just sit there and go, yeah, you fucked up, or your doctor did.
Well, and then you take all that, and then they sell you the cure for the side effects that you're dealing with those doses as well.
Yeah, it's a joke. But so follistatin is probably, people ask me, go, well, what are the ones you couldn't live without, right? So I like doing it a little more because there's so many. You use quite a few things. You use quite a few things. What is the one athletic style peptide that you would want to have forever, even if you don't run it all the time, but you just don't ever would. If you had one that you would never be able to lose, you could use it as much or as little as you want to. What's the most important one for the brain, do you think, that's out there? What's the most important for longevity, which I think we already know that
Klotho,
one.
yeah.
But then what's also the most underrated one that people should pay attention to for their health? And it could do for brain, it could be for anti-aging, it could be for anything. But what are those four that you just, I don't want to live without? And one has to be one that people don't know about. It can't be Klotho FLGR. Can't be
I would say in terms of overall healing,
yes,
I would say what we're coming out with, and I'm going to send you some samples, a long-acting thymosin beta-4. It basically works on almost all soft tissues in the body, muscle, to heal it, to allow you to basically recover from heavy exercise, maybe injuries, things like that. So I think it's essential. It basically allows the body to have the regenerative ability that you have when you're younger.
And many people don't know is that this stuff it was given to every single racehorse in America until it got banned as a performance enhancing drug for racehorses.
Let me ask you this, because I want to play devil's advocate. So I always like doing, not because I don't believe anything, but I just want to ask the questions because I'm sure people are going to think about this stuff. So if you're constantly on thymosin beta-4, which is anti-inflammatory, soft tissue, all that, can't that affect your ability to build muscle tissue? Because some inflammation is good. So what would you say if someone asked that?
From what we've seen
about this last night,
from what we've seen in racehorses, I would say that its ability to synergize with FLGR242 is outstanding.
But you needed a second one. So if you run it without that, though,
if you run it without that, you're going to increase some endurance. You're going to increase performance. I wouldn't run it like I'm running FLGR242, which is consistently. I would cycle in and out.
Okay, but I like that.
Okay, but again, your body, your thymus
together.
But your thymus gland produces these things. As you get older, your body tends to, as you know, not be able to cope with all the types of stress, all the types of healing because of the environment that we live in, all of these things.
But so this is creating a signal for your body to naturally have these responses. It's not a synthetic response.
No, it's not it's
natural.
Yeah. Basically, all the things that we're taking from the body and we're just making them a little better. We're not taking something that the body naturally produces and doing something weird with it and making it an unnatural process. This is the thymosin beta-4 that we have is long acting, but it does the same thing that the thymosin beta-4 that your body puts out does. We just enable it to work at a higher level for a longer period of time, so you don't have to inject 4 times a day. You can inject once every 2 weeks.
Okay. And so what is your most important for the brain?
That's a really good question. Mm-hmm. So we know Klotho has an effect on like the brain function, it being able to the blood-brain barrier is affected so it can spit out the tau proteins, everything else. But I would say one of the most important proteins that I've just started working on is called vasoactive intestinal protein. And they've now shown that this has an effect when dosed properly into the brain of reversing a lot of the degeneration associated with Alzheimer's, dementia, things like that. So that's one of the things that we'll be working on. VIP.
It is VIP.
It is VIP.
Yeah.
So
you left. Most people dropped A.
Yeah.
So VIP, I think, from what we're now seeing, probably could be an extremely important protein if it can be dosed.
Very expensive to make, by the way.
Yeah,
we do make it.
If it can be dosed properly into the brain. So you need like nasal dosings, things like that.
Not cerebral. We need some kind of sugar source to get it over the blood-brain barrier as well. That could help.
It won't go across the blood-brain barrier easily, but
it's interesting because
you nasal dose could, like with the right penetrance, could get it in enough to get like enough percentage into the brain.
I know you manufacture the VIP BPC blend.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say anyone who has Crohn's or
works
issues with
wonders.
that, take this one.
It really works so much better.
And like 2 weeks in, I get a call. They're like, how do I get more of this stuff?
Yeah,
like,
it took, yeah, we don't sell a lot of it. It's more
Yeah.
expensive. It's not that expensive, but
Yeah.
I mean, it is more expensive. VIP, just so you know, when we start getting into proteins, they start getting very expensive to make. The cost to make a kilogram of tirzepatide is, let's call it $60,000 to $90,000 a kilo, right? And that's a lot of money for a kilogram of product, but that's how much it costs. When you get into like TB4, the long chain TB4, so you're going up, that gets into the $300,000 to $400,000 range. Okay. When you start getting into VIP, you're in the $600,000 $700,000 range. You get into IGF-1, you're in the $4 to $5 million range.
Right. So enlarge that and look at Klotho.
Klotho is a 25,
yeah,
$50 million range. Think about this. You think cocaine was worth something? That's $15,000 a kilo.
And
yeah,
imagine walking around and finding it. You're like, oh, I stumbled onto a brick of Klotho.
Right.
You can retire. Because you're using micrograms. You guys, it says 10. People, I think, associate when they're doing, I'm doing 10
milligrams
twice a month.
Yeah.
They think it's milligrams. Those are micrograms. So there's a million micrograms in a milligram, not 1,000. A lot of people think there's 1,000. There's a million. So when you think about how little you need in the blood system, and I don't want to go because I want to keep going down the same, but the reason why you do so little is too much is actually bad for the kidneys.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's why the albumin binder and the small amount and the long half-life is so important, because you only want a little cycling through. So anybody that gives you a larger amount, be wary. That's actually a bad thing. Okay. So little is better.
Less is more.
You have to be within a very specific range for Klotho.
Correct.
Imagine going to the bathroom every hour and urinating so much that you become dehydrated.
Correct.
So you'd be like
straining your kidneys.
Exactly. So you're straining the kidney, you're straining your other organs. These are like the bodybuilders who collapse on stage because they become so dehydrated.
Using diuretics like Lasik and all
so that would be the effect. It would be like using the strongest diuretic. So you do not want to deviate from the protocol. If we're giving you a vial and we say use it once every 2 weeks, we mean once every 2 weeks.
Correct. Yep. Okay, so best friend of the body, I'm going to assume you say FLGR.
Yeah, for sure.
And longevity, you're going to say Klotho.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you have a difference of opinion? So because like I said, you really responded well to IGF-1, better than anybody I've really ever seen.
Yeah, IGF was amazing. Let's start with the brain. So my favorite brain peptide right now, because I've done them all, the BDNF, the Selenk, Cmax, NAD, tesofensine. And out of all of them, my favorite is Dehexa right now.
Yeah, you love Dehexa.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's something because of, the fact I'm diagnosed with ADHD, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
But if I take like an Adderall or something, I don't get, all that happens to me is my heart rate goes up and I get super tired.
Yeah.
So like I can sleep on that stuff, but it feels like I'm going to have a heart attack. So, but when I take Dehexa, I feel it's like I'm throwing in NOS gas on a turbocharged car.
You're just all functioning on a high level.
Yeah. And the recall, I was, joking with him. I'm using words I've never even used before in sentences, bifurcate this, divulge there, this. And I have people reaching out to me saying, I've never heard you talk like this. Like, why are you talking like this? Oh, it's the Dehexa.
Dehexa
I picked it up. I heard it in a podcast or I saw it somewhere. So I'm using it now, or I read it.
And that's an oral.
And
so you don't have to poke yourself. You can just take that orally.
Well, actually, I did try the injectable Dehexa, and it just stings. I don't know if
it's not meant to be
injected.
Yeah. Okay.
So everyone knows I try every peptide so I can have an honest conversation about them.
There are certain things that people can say, like 5-amino-1 was developed to be an oral. I know Jay likes to inject it.
Yeah.
There's no point.
Yeah.
In my opinion. He's like, oh, you did it. It's like, but there's no point. Why? It's super corrosive, stings like hell.
Wait until people see our clean rooms that the 5-aminos made in.
5-amino-1 eats through stainless steel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to inject that. Your stomach acid is meant to handle it, not your fat cells.
Yeah, I sent Trevor a photo one day and it was a bunch of 5-amino tablets sitting on a stainless steel table.
That was stained.
And it burned through the table.
It burned through the table. It eats through fan blades for like the dust when you're making the orals. There's dust in the air that's circulating. Right. Eats through the fan blades. It's corrosive as hell. You shouldn't be injecting it.
But it does burn the hell through fat.
Dehexa is not soluble in water.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be injecting that either. It's meant to be oral. There's a reason why they were orally made. So just so you know. So,
Yeah.
but as I said,
So Dehexa would be my
love
favorite
Jay though.
mental.
Go ahead and inject if you want.
Yeah. I would say Dehexa was my favorite mental. Longevity, I always thought it was NAD until I started using Klotho. So I would say I shifted
Okay.
from camp of NAD camp to Klotho.
For the body.
Are we talking hormones or peptides?
No, you got to pick one, dude. You can't say testosterone.
I was going to say testosterone.
Well, of course, testosterone is like leaving the engine out of the car.
Yeah.
You can strap as many peptides you want onto it that are meant for the body. You don't have testosterone. They're all just sitting there going, what do I want me to do?
Especially as you start to get older, trust me.
Yeah, or it's like having no gas in the car.
Yeah.
It's like, cool, you have an engine and you know, FLGR is your turbo, IGF-1 is your, intercooler, HGH is the block, you got all these things you components.
But no gas.
But if you don't have testosterone, there's no gas to get the damn thing moving.
I would say, because I've experimented with everything, the hormones, the performance enhancing, and unfortunately, you feel amazing on all of them, but you can't run them year round. Otherwise, the side effects outdo all the benefits. So I would say FLGR is now my new favorite body.
And what's one that people probably have never heard of that you think is worth exploring? VIP was actually a good one. I don't think a lot of people know VIP.
Yeah, that's a
so
good
you got to pick a different one. What's another one out there? If you don't know, it's okay.
Just because I've seen what it's done immediately to the people that are trying it, I would say a microdose of Lepto.
Okay. Yeah. Lepto's our new product that Mike has formulated. We have a patent on that. When everything else you can't buy, we're going to be able to sell. It's a triple agonist GLP product that's technically every 2 weeks, but we're going to do it once a week. And that's going to be the nice even keel. But like I said, I just started that 2 days ago. I went on the half of what the regular dose should be just to see the body reaction.
Let's drive it.
Yeah. Like I said, you don't want to, hey, let's just shit the whole full thing in there, go keel over. No, that's not going to happen, but I'm still eating pretty normal right now, but it was only a day and a half.
The crazy
next week will be the real true, but everybody I know that's on it has said that when you go to the normal dose.
And the crazy thing is, and I don't want to name drop or anything, but I saw this person go from Retta to Lepto. Nothing else changed. Everything else was normal, but they quit cigarettes.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
well, it has an effect. We know
for sure
that these drugs have an effect on the central nervous system, on addictive behavior. They do. I mean, I think, isn't it Lilly who has like
they're
phase 3 on like
there's a new drug coming out. Yeah.
And
it's essentially a terzipatide, but for it has all the benefits of terzipatide, but it also hits a bunch of the addiction markers where it helps with alcoholism, cigarettes.
Don't give
drugs.
that to me. I want my wine.
So,
I don't think
it's strange that you say that, because we've seen a couple of other people who've tried it who've said the same thing. It really, at a certain level, dulls most of your addictive. Like, you don't really crave anything.
Yeah.
Well, but I like craving things. That's life.
I do too.
And by the way, for all you people that don't want to crave anything, this way we go. People that drink live longer. People that enjoy their lives and have happiness live longer. Don't dull your life out too much. What we do is
everyone has
doing longevity. We're not trying to be the perfect species.
I don't think anyone here has an understanding or has access to your wine cellar. Okay.
That's true.
No, but you're right, because balance is really the way to go.
Yeah.
If you're always saying to yourself, I want that, but I shouldn't have it, this is not the way to enjoy life.
That's not happiness.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Blue zone areas, the people that live the longest in the world, these blue zones.
They smoke cigarettes.
They smoke, they drink, they do those things. You know what they do? They're calm, they're patient, they're accepting. The big thing for them is they're not stressed. They're accepting of others in their lives.
Well, community too.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying.
It's all about
community.
Yeah.
If they look at things in rationale, not as blacks and whites.
Right.
Drinking's bad.
Well,
over drinking is bad. An alcoholic might be bad. Beating your wife, staying out and cheating on your husband. Those are all bad things that can happen while drinking. But sitting down and breaking bread with 3 friends like we're going to do tonight and having a bottle of wine at dinner and then getting an Uber home.
Chocolate cake for dessert.
Or having chocolate. You need these things. Guess what? You will live longer. Happiness is a big piece. So anyway, enough said about
Well,
that.
now it's your turn on the 4 peptides.
Oh, for me, HGH, I can't get off of it. It's like my bread and butter. But I would say if I had to pick a number 2, FLGR.
But that's for the body.
That's my performance thing. Because
Okay.
I eat and drink and do whatever the fuck I want. I'm at 30% body fat year round.
Yeah.
The FLGR has just made me 20 pounds heavier.
You know, it's
in that I could never get the weight on because my metabolism was.
I want to revisit the HGH conversation after you finish this list because I was actually geeking out with him on HGH stuff
for sure. So HGH is still the place all over there. For the brain, that one's a tricky one because like I love NAD.
Yeah.
Like, and right now because I've been moving, I'm like out of everything because it's all in boxes and being shipped. So I haven't been on C-Max, Selank, oxytocin, tesofensine, all this. So I'm off everything pretty much. I had a bottle of Wolverine, so I used that. I had half a bottle of NAD. I used that. I had, my girlfriend had a little bit of GHK. That went bye-bye. So I've been just kind of like out of everything. The only things I had, what I made sure I had, is I had my HGH, I had my Follistat, I had my Klotho, my things that I take always and forever. I kept those around and I put those in my bag separately. I'm an idiot. I left some, like I said, I left a lot of things. I didn't realize how long this would be limbo land. But I honestly, tesofensine for the brain. I love that. When I get off, I can tell that I like need a nap in the middle of the day. I need a coffee. Things that I don't ever do. Like I don't drink coffee. I don't drink energy drinks. When I am off of tesofensine for a week or two, I start like being like, oh shit, I need a coffee.
That's it.
Second half of the day. Or if I'm going to go out and do something at night, I better get an energy drink because I'm just not up for it. I'm tired. When I'm on tesofensine, I just fire on all cylinders. I can be like, I'm good. But that's there. But P21 is the one that I would say is most useful for my brain for life because I think that's what helped me get rid of my epilepsy.
That's what we call the BDNF.
BDNF, yeah. Longevity, 100% Klotho. That is God sent for sure. And the random one that I think is going to be fun that people really should dig into is probably, and it's not that cool, but I'm telling you right now, I think people really should start looking at it because SS31 is going to be hard to get. And MOTS-C is, already doing its thing. I think ATX304, the oral.
How did you finish your cycle?
Holy shit, man. You sweat fat off of you on that stuff.
Really?
ATX304. I do 50 milligrams in the morning, and if I want to, I'll do 50 milligrams at lunch. I'll do 50 milligrams in the evening, and you just shred up, and your body is excreting fat.
Do you run hot when you're
run hot on it?
That's what it is.
But this is the thing. Who gives a shit? Like, I think that's just that it's an oral that you can just throw into your regiment to.
Is there a synergistic effect of that with like Sloop or the 5 aminos?
Sloop you can run all the time. I actually run those together.
Okay.
So Sloop, I do 1 milligram of Sloop and 100 milligrams of AT. And if I really want to get crazy, 150 milligrams of 5 amino 1. And you run those 3 pills for 4 weeks going into the summer, and you are shredded.
Wow.
But you're going to sweat your ass off.
Yeah. Especially in this weather.
Yeah. So make sure you have a cooling pad, a really strong fan, and your AC set at 68. But as one for people I think should look into. ATX304 is a fun one because it's very soft. There's no really, it's like cleans out like the mitochondrial like functionality and
you don't run it year round. You just cycle it.
No, I run so like this month last month I run SS31, and this month I run MOTS. Next month I run AT for the month.
So you're cycling.
Yeah, I'm doing that because I cycle my mitochondria over 4 months, and then the month after that I run humanin and one other.
And these work on slightly different receptors. I take a slightly different mechanism.
They're different mechanisms. They're not different. They're receptor, yes, but like MOTS-C is directly functioning. I hear people like these doctors get on now. They're like trying to. What the confusing thing out there was that people thought that MOTS-C actually made more mitochondria. I'm like, no one ever thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
Who the fuck ever said that? I've never heard anybody say that.
Puts your mitochondria in overdrive.
But what it does, it actually amplifies what it does. That's what we always thought it did. Where the fuck did this doctor come from? They're a fucking idiot. And I'm too lazy. I'm too busy to actually go on a compliment and be like, no one listened to this person because they completely made that shit up. No one's ever thought this until now. But no, it's that mechanism from the brain to the nucleus to the mitochondria to activate is like 10 to 30% stronger when using it. Problem is, if you have strong mitochondrial function, like me and people that go to the gym, because your body produces MOTS-C while you work out.
Yeah.
So people that go to the gym 5-6 days a week don't need MOTS-C. It's kind of you're just throwing your money. It's like, I don't know. It's like people that sleep well taking sleeping pills.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
You don't need it.
Right.
Now, SS31, different story. You're talking about correcting and rebuilding functionally ones that are not firing correctly or doing their jobs and fixing them. So that, in other words, so like me that already fires at 100%, I might be getting 3% better. But the people that sit around their desk all day, drinking Diet Cokes, not moving, never go to the gym, their mitochondria might be working at 40%. So getting it to 70 is a huge boost for you.
Yeah, you see the difference.
Right. But I think people like us are functioning at 90 to 100%.
Yeah.
We just are. Our MOTS-C, our mitochondria are functioning well. Now, where we're going to get our boost is the 10% to 20% that aren't working right, we fix them. That's a real boost for us. That's SS31. And the ATX goes in there and kind of cleans out the trash and helps organize where the firing's happening.
If there was a flow of, which one would you do first, second, third?
So I do SS31, then I do MOTS-C, and then I do ATX304, and then I do human in with FOXO4.
To clean everything out.
Yeah.
And reset.
The dumpster, which the more you read about FOXO4, the more weary I am about it.
Because it cleans everything.
Yeah, like it might be cleaning out the good stuff too. So I'm generally testing. I don't run it all the time. I'm talking about running
a bottle here, a bottle there,
2 bottles, 3 bottles of it twice a year, 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm not killing myself, but I'm going to do a lot more research on that product. But ATX is a pretty cool product. And like I said, Sloop's fun too, because you can run it with everything. It doesn't interfere. You don't want to be running some of these at the same time. They do conflict with each other. Your body's going, well, what do you want?
People who take SS31 and MOTS-C together.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. It's people that take testosterone and sermorelin together and then CJC on top of it. You're stupid. There are things doing. But one thing I want to talk to you about doing more of is we're going to start doing a lot more blends. So, blends traditionally don't work because different acidity level, pH level, just some are sensitive to light, some just don't interact, different types of molecules all together. But the science of us buffering and building things that can work in the same bottle together has gotten better. Things like creating a AOD with a MOTS-C with the testosterone would be a very cool 5-day blend if you can get those to stabilize together.
Right.
So I don't know, something to think about down the road of actually doing this really science-wise, not just throwing them in a bottle and saying they work. We proved that Glow and Klo are stable when Dr. Trevor Bachmeyer, that's not a doctor, went out there and said they don't work. They're full of shit. They die instantaneously. You guys are all idiots if you inject them. Feel free to email us. We'll send you our 100-day study that costs thousands and thousands of dollars for our stability studies. And you can see.
It went from like 100% to like 96%.
Yeah,
right?
You can see where the drop-offs start. You can see where, in the Klo blend, Klo's a little more unstable right now. We're going to work on stability. You get about 30 days. So if you buy that bottle, use it in 30 days. Glow, 100 days, it's still just fine. The KPV isn't the problem, though. The KPV is the problem per se, but it's not the one that breaks in the Klo. The TB4 starts to split, and that's where we see in the longevity. The BPC stable, the GHK stable, and the KPV stayed stable until about 47 days. But
the TB4 broke down after 20 days, 15 days?
29 days it started to break down. You saw the peak split. Yep.
Yeah. Then it's not active really.
It's not doing what it's supposed to do, right? So that's the one piece that broke down. So we are doing real studies on making sure that things work. I think we all kind of witnessed that with the IRBs and all that stuff. We're not just throwing things in a bottle and saying, hey, cool. But I want to start trying to figure out, because people are getting a little needle shy. When can we start putting some of these things together and save people shots? I think those are
that and orals. There's a lot of oral solutions in the work.
People aren't taking them. We make orals, they don't sell.
Because people don't believe they work as well as the injectables.
I know.
Which in a lot of cases
they don't, but there's ones that are meant to be orally taken.
Yeah, right.
People just don't take them because I think that
the Hexa, for example.
The Hexa is an oral. We are doing a whole study on that. I did all the paperwork. We're going to start with BPC, which I'm totally against because it already works orally for what it was. We're doing that. We're doing PT141. We are doing NAD+, and we are doing, I have to pick between, you can help me with this, CJC or 5-amino-1 as the last one for the study. But what we're doing is we're taking them from, some are already stable, and we'll see how much stabler they get, and others are not stable at all orally that we think we can prove that they are going to work with our binders that we've created.
Right.
But those are we're still on the uphill battle. I'll have all the data, I'll have all the science, and I have all the fucking millions of dollars I've invested into this thing showing that they work, but people still probably won't take them.
Well, here's the thing. You're actually really doing research.
I know.
The whole idea is to publish and then convince people. And then,
That's what
basically most people, as we know, it's very hard to convince them something works. You publish, you get the doctor who's involved in the study coming out and say, yeah, this shouldn't work, but it does work. This is why. This is what we prove. I mean, I think whenever you're doing something new, you're breaking down barriers. Most people will always tell, nah, it's not supposed to work that way. And then when you prove it does, then most people won't believe it until you present them with
which is what we're doing. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I have all
the right way.
You have all the validation studies out of Europe that we did over there first, showing taking things from, 24 to 28 times more bioavailable through an oral application.
Right.
Now we're doing human trials with blood work and panel work over a 90-day period with the product we're going to make the product as a tablet without we're basically encapsulating in the exosome.
Right.
Very much more complicated than that, but that's what we're doing. And then we're going to do the one that we do that.
So you're doing a side-by-side comparison.
Side-by-side. So we're going to do.
So it proves what you're doing.
Yes. 70 people, 35 doing one, 35 doing the other.
Right.
And then doing the testing along the way for the 90 days. And yeah, we'll see the differences. So you'll see if we'll basically prove that NAD+ doesn't work orally regular, which we already do know.
Right.
But I'll spend $100,000 on those patients taking bullshit to hopefully spend $100,000 on the other side that shows that we're actually able to get NAD into the bloodstream through an oral version. And if we can,
it's great.
We have a huge, huge, huge win. Or I just wasted a bunch of money.
It's a big win.
Yeah.
And big win for the people that will be using it.
Correct. But then we got to convince everybody that we're not full of shit, even with the published studies. But we are using an FDA-approved IRB. So the person that's doing this study is approved. It's not my people. I'm just paying
independent third
parties to do this. So
but that's what you need to break the barriers. You need to do it and then prove that you can do it.
Yeah.
So something you mentioned, HGH was your favorite.
Yeah, it was the first thing I took, and I've been on it ever since. And
so Mike and I were at dinner the other night, and we were actually talking about growth, because from the last time I saw him to now, he's put on 20 pounds. And he's working on some cool stuff. But I asked him, I said, hey, there's so many different growth hormones.
Yeah.
You have the zometropin, this one, the
191, 192 chain, which no one really uses 192 anymore, right? It's all 191 chain, somatropin based.
Somatrogon, I think, is 191.
Yeah, it is.
Then it has it has a CTP on the N terminal and 2 CTPs on the C terminal.
That's the standard, right? The Serostim's the most expensive. I have about a dozen kits.
And isn't
5,000 a kit? Don't worry, I don't pay that.
Is that that's the one that no matter who's taking it, a third of the dose of that compared to other growth hormones available on the market, you're getting just as good, if not greater, results.
I don't believe that at all. I just think there's so much bullshit out there. So I think what happens is that.
How do you feel when you're on it?
The same as the ones, all the quality ones that I use, I feel the same.
Milligram for milligram?
Milligram for milligram. I'd say that the only thing I know is that when you buy Serostim for that massive price, you know that every bottle is probably identical, whereas there might be bottle variants or shipping variants because it might not have been taken
like genotropin or whatever.
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about some of the ones that are just made by anybody,
right?
You know what I mean? That's making.
Well, somatrogon, which is made by Pfizer, you're talking $8,000 to $9,000 a month.
Yeah,
just for something that's 36.5-hour half-life.
Yeah.
So as I said, we're working on something which 19-day half-life, and where we're like, again, just to reduce.
That's an easy one to test. So I want to do that one ASAP.
I mean, just you could look at the results from he's put on 20 pounds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most people, the HGH market.
And you only have to take the shot once a week.
Yeah, I take it once every 2 weeks for myself. I started at once a week and then went to once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to test that one because that one is easy because it's just all relative to your IGF rollover, right?
So you can test.
And
You can
easy
take
to test the IGF-1. It's a very simple
test.
simple test.
I mean, I know that if I don't be on anything, I'm about 100.
Yeah.
So when I stop, I usually sit around 100. And when I'm on the stuff that I do at 5, I'm at 315 to 370.
Okay. So
5 IU.
So when I started, before I did the start, I was at 24.
Wow.
That's not good.
No, really low. Now I'm like 240.
It's great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
It works. So yes, that'd be amazing.
And we have other people doing that type of, like, 1 month in, they'll do the pre IGF-1 levels, and then they'll do 1 month later the new IGF-1 levels. So
I'm all over that one. Like,
we'll give you the same thing. Listen, it's just basically it's the same thing. We've designed around what other people have proven works. We've just taken the design and made it just that much better. 2.5 times the binding to the receptor and a 19-day half-life instead of a 36-hour half-life.
So
let me ask you this real quick though, because on the science side of it, so the way that growth hormone works, and the reason why we say you can't have sugar or anything with glucose, when you take it an hour before, hour after, and it really is depending on the glucose you take, it could be up to 2 hours. So if you have a slow acting carbohydrate, like say you ate a shit ton of like organic grains and stuff like that break down longer, you'd have to wait longer. But if you had juice goes into your system, mass amounts of glucose, insulin is released, and then it's out of your system, right? You can't have growth hormone because the insulin will attack the growth hormone before it processes through the liver and converts into IGF-1.
Right. Up until now, I would have agreed with you.
Yes.
Somatrogon, which lasts like 36-hour half-life, these kids are eating all sorts of sugars.
It's just not converting while you're eating sugar, right?
I think it's not converting.
That's what I'm asking.
It's not converting during that hour or two of that window. And again, because it's circulating for so long, there's so much opportunity for it to convert. So the only thing I would worry about with a long-acting GH, and this is something I'm monitoring, is insulin resistance.
Correct.
Which we know, and I'm sure that you monitor yourself for that. You watch because you're taking, you've taken it for years. So you must know like what level is safe and what level is not safe. But there is, for each person, that will be slightly different. The only thing I can say, which I think we have an advantage, is FLGR242
massively increases insulin sensitivity.
Insulin sensitivity, massively, like
yeah,
incredibly. So even coupling it with a bit of GH, I don't think theoretically is a problem. I will monitor myself over the next, couple of months. But
and
so
how
far,
do you measure insulin sensitivity?
There's a specific test. You give an injection of glucose, and then you measure what the uptake is, and if you're insulin sensitive or insulin resistant.
Yep.
Based off of how much glucose was injected.
They do a study. Well, they do a specific injection, and they a specific amount of glucose, and they measure the uptake into muscle and stuff like that. So if you're insulin sensitive, the reaction is basically a pancreatic reaction.
Correct.
It'll release insulin, and therefore it'll go into your muscle, and it'll dissipate from your blood. So they know the rate. They'll give you a standard injection, then they know the rate at which it dissipates. From that dissipation rate, if you're either insulin resistant or insulin sensitive.
Would the GLPs, for example, like the triple agonist or the lepto, help with insulin?
It increases insulin. It increases insulin sensitivity.
So when you're
tremendously,
that has a synergistic effect
with it as well.
Hormone.
With the FLGR, and will offset some of, if any, of the insulin resistance that you'll get with GH. That's honestly, from what most I've read, that is the biggest concern for most medical practitioners of when you're dosing GH is the insulin resistance, not any of the other things. Because if you're controlling the dosage, you won't get any of the the growth effects on like the face and the forehead and anything like that, if you control dosage. But insulin resistance, even at smaller doses, is still a concern for most medical practitioners. So combining it with something like lepto and something like FLG,
it balances you out.
Exactly.
The big thing for me too is how people eat, right? If you eat like a hunter-gatherer, like just like kind of, there's some nuts. I found some berries. I'm going to eat them. Like, I feel like your insulin sensitivity, you have really good insulin sensitivity. So like me, I eat all day.
Right.
So I go over and eat nuts, and then I'll lay on the phone, and then I'll walk over and eat an apple. And then I'll have like a protein shake, and then I'll like I'm eating something all the time. I never stop eating.
You're
What
never
helps-
full,
but
but
I'm
you're never
never-
hungry.
I'm never dropping
Yeah.
the bomb on my pancreas to go, oh shit, there's so much here. Send out all the warriors and go, oh, we lost the war. There's too much
Not only
glucose.
that, but over the years, you built up a certain amount of muscle mass, and that also helps
Yes.
for you to deal with any sugars that you're putting into your body. The muscle basically craves that, especially because you work out on a regular basis. So you can basically accommodate more than the average person. The person who's overweight already
Correct.
is going to have a huge problem doing that type of thing.
Yeah. But I'm saying like healthy eating, we're talking all about the fun chemicals and proteins and all the things they're fun, but you got to have the basics down. Make sure that you're paying attention to, you can eat a lot of really fun things, but pay attention to what you're doing. Don't jam all your food into one meal. Don't, I need 200 milligrams or 200 grams of protein a day. You can't eat 200 at once. The body doesn't work that way.
Yeah. It's not going to take it.
30, 40 grams, unless you're slightly larger like me, then you can go to maybe 40, 50 grams at a time. That's it. You got to pack that in. How many times a day? That's 5 to 6 meals a day. When you do that, that's a lot of food. Don't try and double up your carbs every time. Make sure you eat your balance of carbs. Maybe if you're eating 40 grams of protein, no more than 80 grams of carbs.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like probably less, 60, 40. Try to balance it. Have some fat with that. Keeps you stable longer. Those things are important. People just need to know.
Try and be active in between the meals.
Walk around.
Exactly.
Stand up while you're working. Get that little treadmill that's underneath your desk so you can do your walking on it. There's so many things you can do.
Yeah, just that little bit of exercise makes a world of difference in the final outcomes.
Yeah.
Well, it's a waste of money to take all these peptides if you don't even have your sleep or exercise or diet.
Exactly.
Yeah. We do have to get going soon here. So what final questions? I know you've had quite a few. What is your final question for Mike?
I mean, me and him have been together all week.
Well,
but
for these lovely customers.
Yeah, I think something that would be super important for everyone to learn is through the different delivery technology that you've created. How does that have an impact on the bioavailability, stability, and actual overall effectiveness for the end user?
Okay, so all of these peptides, if you look at their very short half-life, most of them, if you inject into your body, by the time they've circulated throughout your body and reached the receptors, most of them are gone.
Yeah.
They've mostly been metabolized. So by allowing a longer half-life by the albumin-binding technology, what we've done is we've enabled these peptides, these proteins, to circulate long enough to interact with the receptors. So it's a huge leap forward for effectiveness of all of these basically molecules that the body needs, especially as you age. So effectiveness is one thing.
Yeah.
You also ask about stability. By binding to albumin, you stabilize these proteins because they become basically protected in the hydrosphere that surrounds albumin. So they're protected from all of these enzymes, and they can then circulate for this long period of time, released and then bind to the receptor. So it's a sort of a double-edged sword where we've been able to combine stability with effectiveness. So I would say that in terms of if you're looking at injecting a regular protein like a follistatin 344 versus FLGR242, we're probably 1,000 times more effective than the follistatin 344. So
if you use 344, you got to be very calculating how you use it, because I used it.
Yeah.
It's painful. 2, you use it, you're literally hitting yourself while you're walking into the gym, and you better eat 100 grams of carbs. I would literally eat 2 bowls of Lucky Charms. I would do 2 applesauce packets. I would eat oatmeal with blueberries, and I'd eat 10 eggs. And I'd eat that, and I'd be still sucking down apple packets on the way to the gym. And right when I get there, follistatin 344, go into the gym, bust my ass for an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half, and then it's gone. And then you go home and you got to do it again.
Wow.
You got to get the glucose back in your system again. If you don't do this, it doesn't work.
So most people were never even using it the right way.
No, they never got the results. They're like, yeah, I used it. It was just in a lot of pain. I'm like, well, did you eat all the carbs? Like, well, I didn't want to get fat. For the love of fucking God, you're not. I told you, you're not going to get fat. It's 3 weeks of your life. Try it. Do it the way I tell you.
And I think
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm saying like the way I would do it.
One thing people don't realize though is that with all this stuff,
chemistry, you have to follow the chemistry of what
and
it
the
does.
Science, right?
That's what I'm saying. So you can't be like, I'm not going to do it the way that it works.
And if you're one of those nerds like me and you actually read stuff, you're going to realize something really crazy is that Mike here has over 100 patents.
I know.
He's
smarter than anybody else.
Everything that we've actually talked about today on today's podcast that came out of his mouth, he's already patented.
Yeah.
So he has the patent for the FLGR, the Klotho, the binding mechanisms. And now that translates into being able to use that delivery system on every other peptide that you find. Because I know you don't like to find things unless they solve problems.
Right.
So any problem that you're trying to solve, you already have the patent for it or the foundation for it.
And again, we know that some people don't like injectables.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why, let's say Novo is trying to come out with an oral semaglutide, but it's only 1% absorbed of the regular. So,
that's one. Okay. So when you do semaglutide, you use 0.5 milligram a week. You're talking about for their orals, they're losing 10 milligrams to 20 milligrams a day to get the effectiveness.
Huge.
A day. So massive amounts. So massive amounts of side effects, massive amounts of everything else going on to get you there. That's why I'm working very hard on the technology to not allow that, so I can amplify those things. It's like what you do with albumin. You don't need as much because you can slowly let it release.
Exactly. You're basically delivering almost an exact amount of what your body will utilize over that time period so that you don't have those side effects. So I think lepto is a very good example because we're very similar to another major drug that will hit the market very soon. And yet from what we're seeing, our side effects are
far less,
almost non-existent. Almost non-existent.
Yeah.
So now what we're going to be working on, and I'm hoping that we can get this out in a couple of months, we're going to be working on a sublingual format to lepto, where we get maybe, and I'm hoping, and people will maybe remember this and hold me to my word and say, well, you didn't succeed. But we're aiming to get a 50% absorption rate from our sublingual, which means that
it's amazing
that we're able to deliver for the people that don't like the feeling of injecting once a week, once every 2 weeks. Honestly, I hate needles, but I don't mind the subcutaneous. It's such a small amount.
You feel it.
It's like Klotho is like, you don't even feel it. It's just like
there's nothing.
It's in a second. You don't even realize it's there and it's gone.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is we're trying to achieve for the people who don't like it. Klotho's too big. We're never going to be able to achieve a sublingual delivery of Klotho.
Yeah, it won't get through.
It's a massive. But when you look at something like lepto, which is 42 plus around 50 amino acids and very hydrophilic.
So on the Dalton scale, it's probably around 4,500.
So 4,500 Daltons.
Yeah, so
4.5 kilo Daltons is
exactly.
Small.
It's small, but when we talk about this, and I talk about this all the time, when people are like, oh yeah, I made this product, and you can do it early. I'm like, you can only fit with technology 1,200, 1,500 through the mouth with like normal technologies. If you let them sit there and soak through like a troche. Now we're getting better, right? We're using things that you can get higher. That's why he's talking about. He's working on getting something that's 4,500 to get through.
Right.
But you have only you can't squeeze a basketball through a golf ball size hole.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to take that basketball and we're trying to make it to where it could be pushed through, but it would elongate itself and get through and pop back into the bubble, the basketball when it gets through. You can't do that with a tanker. Doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter how, if you could get it done, you never get all of it through. It'd just be spaghettiing through forever.
Exactly.
You
have to be very lucky that the physical characteristics of the molecule are also able to be manipulated the way that you're describing.
That's using nanotechnologies, and that we call nanotechnology. We're not actually nanonizing; we're breaking it apart. But there's ways to make it where we can stabilize and allow the molecule to morph into a
Right.
way to get through it, which
More
is what you're
flexible.
exactly. So he talks about 3D, remember? Different things. So anyway, this is the genius behind a lot of these products. We're very lucky to have been introduced.
Well, I'm lucky to be associated with you guys. I love the association. I love what you guys are doing. You're like a prime example of what we hope to achieve for people with what we do.
He's the poster child.
It's going to happen. This is all coming. And the best part about it, like I said, we're not preaching to preach. We're putting the proof in the pudding. We're actually doing the studies. So a lot to come. When we start getting those through, we're going to start releasing them, and we're going to basically prove to the world that Mike Farber is going to go down as the greatest humanitarian of all time.
Hopefully we'll be back in a few months to discuss the new things.
Exactly. Yeah. We know not hopefully, we are going to be. So
that's great.
Thanks for putting this together.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to town. So I know it's a long journey, and let's go clean up.
News. I'm glad I was here to hear that.
I've been saving it for you. So this is the first podcast to do it.
So happy for you, Trevor.
Yeah. So now I got to call everybody and be like, hey guys, before you see it on my podcast.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're an asshole. You didn't call me.
Yeah.
I got to call all my friends.
I was going to be busy.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's get out of here. Thank you very much again for coming.
My pleasure.
And let's go get some food.
Yeah, let's do it.